This morning, we're shining a spotlight on the tragic murder of 16-year-old Preston Lord. He was beaten to death at a local Halloween party last year, allegedly all over a stolen chain. He later died as a result of the injuries that he sustained in that beating, and his death was ruled a homicide last month. On Wednesday, the district attorney announced indictments for 4 people on the charge of first-degree murder, which was celebrated news for the community who was mourning this young man.
First degree.
We fought for this publicly, and I'm just going to say...
We're coming for the rest.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're all going to pay for what you did to Preston.
Yes, yep, there's
to our
more.
community.
And since then, 3 more suspects have been arrested. All 7 of them are a mix of adults and minors and have all been charged with first-degree murder and kidnapping in Preston Lord's death. Let's talk about this some more. How does something like this happen? Was it a traditional bullying incident that was taken to the extremes of death? Or was it gang activity? Was this some kind of gang-related activity? As police are digging into this group of people and saying they've learned they call themselves the Gilbert Goons. Let's bring in 2 great guests now to dissect all of this. Retired criminal defense attorney, licensed to practice in Arizona, Kirk Nurmi, and the former director of the Department of Family and Children's Services in the state of Georgia, Tom Rawlings. Kirk, not only have you served as a criminal defense attorney in the state of Arizona for many, many years, you also still live there now and live there close to this area where Preston Lord was beaten to death. So you're hearing the community vibe on this. Talk to us, please, Kirk, about what you're hearing, what you're learning, and then your thoughts knowing this new step that prosecutors have taken in charging all of those people.
Yeah, Julie, it's certainly been something that's shocked the conscience of the community around here, just particularly because of the age and the trivial nature of what happened here. And the arrests, certainly, of all these people are welcome news. I think the question you asked on the top of this issue is whether or not these Gilbert Goons were quote unquote a gang or not. I think that is really technical assessment under Arizona law, and they're going to have to look. The county attorney is going to have to look at sealed criminal records, because some of these people, they're adults now, but they were probably juveniles at the time this happened, and or certainly prior to that. So they're going to need to look at their criminal history to see if they really are a quote unquote gang. Anybody can call themselves anything and not really be a gang under Arizona law. So that is something that prosecutors are going to have to look at moving forward when they go forward with these charges of first-degree murder.
Right, Kirk. I've got a little bit of information from the Arizona Police Department talking about the Gilbert Goons, saying initially Gilbert PD did not have any reports where the victims or the suspects referred to Gilbert Goons. However, in recent information received from victims, there are references to their assailants as being associated with Gilbert Goons. It's important to note that this investigation will determine if the Gilbert Goons can be classified under Arizona law as a criminal street gang. Kirk, prior to this case coming up and this being talked about, had you ever heard of the Gilbert Goons?
No, I mean, those goons, I've been out of the game, fortunately, for a long time. Those Gilbert Goons probably would have been in grade school. I'd certainly heard about them in the news when the criminal activity started, but this is something that is obviously arisen in the past few years.
Mm-hmm. Right. You know, and I was just saying to my friends on Facebook, doing a Facebook Live talking about this, that, you know, if there could be a local teeny tiny gang, a small group of people at a high school that can technically be a gang under Arizona law, as Kirk said, and not be a type of gang that we might be familiar with, like the Bloods or the Crips, a gang we may have heard of no matter where you live in America. This one is not that. Tom Rawlings, I have a clip I'd like to play for you, please. This is of Preston Lord's stepmother talking about the recent arrests.
We are standing where Preston's life was taken, but we are here to take what his life meant back. Preston's light will continue to shine through this darkness and bring out the truth. These arrests are only the first steps in getting justice for Preston.
Truer words have never been spoken. I mean, there's a long road ahead. Tom, talk to me here. You've seen an awful lot in your many years of service in the state of Georgia. When you hear about a teenager being beaten so badly he dies from his injuries, tell me where your mind goes, please.
Well, Julie, obviously you feel terrible for this child and for his family. But you also have to really, I think justice in this case is not simply about prosecuting these offenders. It probably also is about figuring out what is wrong with this community. This is, I think, a fairly upscale community, suburb of Phoenix. And these were kids who had, a number of them had been doing this. There were prior charges of their beating the living tar out of other kids, and nothing happened to them. So we need to think about the role of parents, the role of holding our children accountable, disciplining children, so that it doesn't go this far, so they don't suddenly become, kids who can run around and call themselves the goons and just beat people up for the fun of it.
Right, Tom. And I like what you said. You really got me thinking that I'm wondering who else may be held responsible. When you said parents, I thought, where were the parents at this Halloween party? Were they home? Were they supervising the kids? I'm thinking not, huh? Tom, tell me, what does the investigation look like when it comes to those parents? Might DCF go to their home if they know that this Halloween party took place and a child was beaten so badly he died?
Yes, certainly. There have been plenty of cases around the country in which parents have allowed their underage children to, for example, drink alcohol, use drugs at parties, have these unsupervised parties. And when bad things have happened to children, the parents can be held responsible either through the child protection process in some cases, or certainly criminally. And in fact, I would note that the renter defendant here, his father was actually arrested about the same time for possession of psychedelic mushrooms. So this seems to be at least partially a parental control issue.
Wow. Tom, you're right. It starts in the home. Parents need to be responsible for their children no matter where they are. And this was just deplorable, what happened to Preston Lord. Kirk Nurmi, tell me, in that group of suspects, we've got adults, we've got minors. Do you think these minors are going to be prosecuted as adults?
I do. I do think all of them will be prosecuted as adults. Arizona law allows for those over the age of 15 to be charged as an adult, if I remember correctly. I suspect the county attorney will proceed on that account and charge them all equally as adults with first-degree murder.
Kirk Nurmi, Tom Rawlings, great information from you both as always. We've got to leave it there. Thank you so much. When we come back, here's what's next on Opening Statements.
No, I did not know.
James Crumbly claiming he had no idea his son was struggling or was capable of carrying out a massacre. But will the jury believe him? We'll talk about it.